Hello and welcome to BD TV. This is our final episode of 2020. Usual format. We're keep it succinct. You're going to hear from one of your peers in professional services. 10 minutes of me asking a couple of questions, and then fielding questions that have come in from you. So please use the Q&A at the foot of the screen as usual. We'll also have a poll. And we'll all be wrapped up by 2:20. So welcome along, and thanks very much for joining us. Many people have said that this has been one of the bright spots for them during 2020, is when they're working from home or working from the bed quarters, as I am today. It's been nice to tap in and hear a little bit of live exchange and a few thoughts and a few ideas from someone who's facing similar challenges to them. So I'm delighted to welcome Tom Parkin along today. Tom's from Berkeley Partnership. Many of you will know, but for those that don't, it's Berkeley has well over 100 people now across 2 offices in London and New York. Very well regarded management consultancy with an excellent client base, and I've known and worked with them for 5 years now. Many firms claim to have a really distinct culture and be a positive place to work. But of all the firms I've worked with recently, I think Berkeley can say with some justification that they really live what they claim, both as an employer and in terms of how they work with clients. So I'm hoping we're going to get a little bit of an insight to that today. So really pleased, Tom, that you can join us. Thank you very much for coming along.
Great. Thank you very much for having me, Peter.
Yeah. Well, welcome. Now, Tom, as a consultancy, I've talked already about this breadth of clients. I know from, financial services right across public sector, travel, and some of the biggest consumer names in the world. Has that breadth of footprint been helpful this year?
Absolutely it has. This recession has been really uneven in terms of its impact across different sectors, and we're still absolutely in it. There's lots to play out here, but at Berkeley, we do think we have quite a few reasons to be cheerful. As at any one point in time, we're probably spread across something like 35 to 40 clients, and the way we work, we're in small teams. That's kind of teams of 2 or 3 people quite often, working with the senior management of FTSE 100 and FTSE 250 organizations. And if we kind of go back to the start of the first lockdown, we were bracing ourselves for really quite a severe contraction. And fortunately, things have been more resilient for us. And I think that's down to that breadth we've had in the portfolio. But it's not without difficulties. Things are especially challenging in sectors like commercial property and travel. And we're working with clients like JLL and Booking.com. And as we work with them, they've had to make some hard decisions about in-flight programs and the amount of investment they put into external consultancy. But in other sectors, things have been a lot more resilient. And we're definitely, during the second half of the year, we've seen organizations really investing to win on the other side of this thing. And certainly the work we do with organizations like Unilever and Primark and WPP, they're really using this time to make changes to their business to help them kind of consolidate their positions as we go through this. And of course, throughout all, our public sector work has been a source of stability, I should say, throughout. So we had a soft kind of Q2, but the breadth of the footprint has really helped the last 6 months feel a bit more like business as usual.
Good. I'm glad to hear you say that. That's something we are definitely seeing across the client base as well, that investing to win and compete in 2021. Now, one thing which has dominated a lot of conversations over the last 9 months is Zoom, and of course how we manage relationships virtually. And Tom, as I understand it, you're now the partner responsible for marketing and BD at Berkeley. So I'd love to get your view on this. You were actually your office on Chancery Lane was the first where I ever used Zoom, and it seemed novel and exciting at the time. And I think it's fair to say that novelty's worn off a little bit now. But how have you been able to maintain and open up relationships as we've gone through the last 9 months?
Yeah, I mean, how times have changed, Peter. I was in the office on Tuesday this week, and it felt like a novelty being in the office. So kind of thinking back to 2018 when we were first playing with Zoom as a video conferencing technology, seems like a very, very long time ago. But this kind of virtual way of developing business and delivering client work, it's obviously changed dramatically how we work with our clients over the course of this year. It's quite different how that's panned out between existing clients and new clients. Definitely in existing clients, things have been easier.
Yes.
We have people where they have deep relationships and trust already with client teams. They're working in small teams and they're really wearing the badge of the client organization. So there's no them and us between the client and the consultancy provider. But in new clients, things have definitely been trickier. And it's down to those softer parts of the relationship building, those kind of conversations you have at the side of the desk, the feedback loops that you get, the coffee or the social time you have with them, and just that space you create to have a conversation that's a bit more curious about their organization and help color in the picture of the organization a bit more. I wouldn't go so far as to say we've cracked that yet, but we've probably done more than I think we would have done, or we could have ever imagined we would have done in the past.
Yeah, that's a perfect point actually for me to introduce the poll that we're hoping to get a sounding from people who are live on the call today. And sorry if you're watching a recording of this on YouTube, you can't partake, but I'll explain to you now the poll that we have just launched, and please click the option which you personally feel is closest to what's happening in your firm. So I'd like to say, looking across your firm at all client relationships, in your view, are they in a stronger or weaker position since March 2020? So the options here are from universally stronger, universally weaker, to actually it depends on the individual, and senior people who some are grappling with this really well and others are struggling. Or is it a case that it's been okay maintaining established relationships, but not being as effective at opening up new ones? Or the flip side, actually, we're in a time like no other where clients need us, and that engagement has been easier. I'll give a moment more for people to choose their options here. Oh no, already we've had 100% of people have voted, so that's excellent. Let me just end the poll and show results, and I'd love to get your view on this, Tom, if we may. Now this, I don't know if you can see that in front of you, Tom, but there's been a clear leader in that, saying that most people have maintained established relationships but not been as effective at opening new ones. Now this is supported by something I read 2 weeks ago from the Bank of England. We're saying, and it was reported in the FT, this accrued relationship value has really helped organizations through 2020, but it's been really, really challenging to try and open up new relationships. Do you share that view, Tom?
I think absolutely. I think that's where I would have voted as well, Peter. It's doing this digitally and building that trust digitally is just so much harder to do than face to face.
Yes, yeah, and it's those little moments that you mentioned about that those sort of ad hoc moments of some sort of personal intimacy and warmth that it's really, really difficult to recreate through this. Let me just stop sharing that, if I may. And this is a good time. We're halfway through the webinar. Time travels fast. If I may move on to some of the questions that people would like to hear your response to, Tom. Now, the first thing on that is that, and you may have seen a report by Totem last week they've launched their report on changes in terms of legal marketing and BD teams, saying that there'd be more spend on digital and more investment in that, and perhaps a bit less in events and sponsorship. And I was just wondering, with some of the finest minds in marketing and BD on the call today and watching this, so I'm sure they'd be very interested to hear your thoughts about what Berkeley's going to be doing around marketing and BD as we go into next year.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we have a small but great BD and marketing team. A lot of the BD effort, remains with partners, and of course, in that there are the usual challenges, as in any partnership, of load balancing between one another as people get busier or less busy. But we've been lucky that repeat and referral business drives a lot of our sales. So our marketing spend has historically been low, but we are feeling like we need to do more there, particularly in bringing our digital brand up to what we think is the same level, or we aspire to be at the same level of our face-to-face brand. And that needs some investment to do that in terms of selling and delivering remotely. We've been doing some experiments. We've been doing virtual roundtables, the kind of convening and curating small groups of very senior leaders from our clients on an invite-only basis, and us facilitating those conversations as value add for them. We've been designing and planning changes to our web presence and investment we might make there. And we've also been really reviewing and thinking hard about our approach to thought content and how we make this a bit more targeted, and maybe helping our buyers get past that kind of wave of content fatigue that I think a lot of people in buying positions felt during the course of the spring and the early summer here, where so many organizations were just pumping out content all the time. So how do we curate that better and target that better? We've been working on that. We've also been kind of doing a bit of step out stuff in terms of active outbound marketing in a very targeted way. But this is all quite new for Berkeley to be trying this stuff. But overall, I do kind of go back to a philosophy of there are things we should be doing, but actually we're trying not to throw the baby out with the bathwater here. We don't want to overcorrect in a dash towards digital marketing, and there's still a huge amount of work for our BD and marketing team at Berkeley to do in terms of helping our consultants and partners be great at relationship management and doing what has served them well for a long time, but just doing it in a digital remote type of way of working.
Yeah, I agree with you completely on that, and that's something I'm starting to hear in the market is a little bit of, let's not completely swallow too much hype around digital when we're working in an environment which is driven by strong personal relationships. And yes, stepping up. The totem, I think, talked about 87% wanting to spend more on digital, but not certainly at the expense of the other strengths you have. Now one of those other strengths, and again others online from across consultancy, accountancy, and law, I'm sure, are wrangling with this themselves, is how important that central city office hub is in terms of client relationships. Is there still a value there? Is that still necessary?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great question. Personally, we feel it really does. The ability to anchor team working, a working hub for people to work in a joined up way, it's more effective, and clients notice that. Even if you're not all together on the day, clients still notice that if you're too often apart. And it's also a bit of a point of differentiation. The kind of shape of your office space and the experience they have when you're hosting them actually says a hell of a lot about your culture and ways of working, in a way that's much more impactful than you can bring to life just by chatting to people over Zoom, right? So I think it's absolutely crucial still.
Yes. Well, so in that sense, absolutely, and I agree with what you're saying. Whether the nature of that space changes and the amount of usage changes, that will be interesting to see. But Another thing we see happening in the market, or certainly there's a lot of debate around it, is will suburban hubs become more important? And one thing, the $1 million question I'd like to ask you today is, headlines today, and I'm sure the headlines tomorrow will be Brexit and COVID. Is that really going to be the end of London as a centre of excellence for management consultancy firms?
I mean, I think whatever the driver, Brexit, COVID, or any other kind of major external drivers, these are drivers of business change. And I think when business change is happening, there is demand for consulting, as just in the same way there's demand for legal advice and other professional services. So, Brexit and COVID themselves won't be the impact, but if we're moving into a prolonged and deep recession, which we may well be doing so, that will absolutely have an impact on demand for consulting. I don't think in the short term that's going to change London and New York being the preeminent centres for consultancy around the world. But in the long term, there's still macro trends there of firms from Asia and so on that will try and move further and further up the value chain in the types of work they do for clients, and will inevitably be looking at what a lot of the consultancy market in London and New York do. So there's still risks there that everyone needs to be mindful of.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. Tom, it's as I say, time goes very fast, and we've just got time for one more question, and it's something we've asked everyone during this series. Is great news about the vaccine now, and we think well, a lot of commentators are saying from Easter we're going to return to some sort of normal socializing. What are you most looking forward to as we do?
I think I'm most looking forward to just seeing London full again. All the restaurants, bars, galleries, and theatres open again. It's a rather depressing sight wandering through Covent Garden or the West End at the moment. So just seeing London full and back to life will be great. That's my kind of hope for 2021.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I look forward to that myself, and I must thank you, Tom, for an excellent session today, and for Berkeley Partnership being a real ray of light. And I've seen firsthand how you have responded quickly and smartly in this really exceptional year, and how you've stayed positive throughout. So it's really nice to see an organization living what it claims and what it asserts, and bringing that to life. So congratulations on that. I wish you a very, very nice break over the next couple of weeks. And for everyone who's listening now, thanks very much for tuning in. Look forward to seeing you back here in January, and hope you have a chance for a bit of rest and relaxation. Take care.